All right, everyone, we are back and we are going to break down objectives because there are different types. So let's first talk about process objectives. So this is a type of formative evaluation, and you'll remember that we have talked about this term previously. So formative evaluation is done during the program or through the process of the program, right? And this is looking at the different activities or tasks and some of the administrative focus of the of the program. So hang with me as we go through these because I have some examples coming up. And these will be great because you'll be able to kind of understand if it's more of a process objective, impact, or outcome. All right, so the next one is an impact objective. And this one is different. It's summative, but it's a short-term summative. So these are the items that are cognitive, behavioral, or affective. So these are the objectives that you guys will be using, and these are those short-term action items that you will achieve through your program. So let's look at these each. So cognitive objectives are those that produce knowledge or learning. These are things that the participants will learn and achieve, new skills they'll learn, and these are all cognitive objectives. Behavioral objectives, these are psychomotor or movement objectives. And again, we'll break down these. I'll show you all lots of examples so that you can understand the difference in cognitive, behavioral, and affective. And then this last one, affective objectives, these are going to be items that your program will accomplish by making the participant feel differently, have different emotions, different attitudes, values, beliefs. All of those things are affective objectives. And then last is our outcomes objectives. This one is also summative, meaning that it's done at the end of the program, right? But these are the long-term objectives. So these are the changes in quality of life, the morbidity, mortality, prevalence, incidence. These are the long-term objective items, okay? The outcome objectives. So let's look here at process objectives. Remember, these are our formative ones. They determine how well the program is being implemented. They occur throughout the program. Remember, it's formative, so it's throughout the process of the program. They relate to the program inputs, so our resources, our equipment, our staff, the implementation activities, priority population exposure, the attendance, right? So let's look at an example for this process objective. By 2020, the program planners will increase the number of heart-healthy educational sessions offered to the county residents from the baseline of 15 sessions to 25 sessions per year, right? So they are doing this within the program, so it is making it an action item to be completed for that program. So this is a process objective, right? And remember, objectives are measurable. So can we measure if they increase the number of sessions from 15 to 25 per year? Absolutely. Do we know who is going to be accomplishing this? Yes, the program planners will be increasing the number. And what are they doing? They're increasing the number of educational sessions. And they also have a timeline by 2020, right? Let's look at another example. By August 4th, volunteers will distribute the informational brochure to 33% of the county residents, right? So remember, don't get these confused with what your participants in the program are doing. This is more of what the staff, what those activities are looking like. So the volunteers for your program, the staff for your program, the administrative side of the program, they are going to be distributing those brochures, and they're going to reach 33% of the county residents, right? And they have that timeline of August 4th to do this objective. By the end of the program, at least 60% of the priority population will have attended all sessions. Okay, so again, this is process objectives. We can look at attendance from the participants. These are all the things that are happening throughout our program to see if the program was implemented and how well it's going, right? All right, so those were process objectives. Next is our impact objectives. This is the focus of your program. You will be writing impact objectives. So if you don't get anything else, take this away from this PowerPoint. Impact objectives are measured at the end of the program. Remember, they're summative, but they're more short-term summative. So they're evaluated within 1 week to 1 year after the program, kind of depends on the program. And you're measuring the effectiveness of the program. Did you intend to do what you wanted to do with your program? Was there success? And you have to be able to measure that. And remember, we're looking at cognitive, behavioral, and affective objectives within our impact objectives. So we're going to break down these even further. Cognitive. Remember, these are our learning or knowledge objectives. So educational or learning tools needed to achieve desired behavior change. So awareness, becoming more aware of the problem or the risks or the benefits of whatever you are trying to change. Knowledge, skill processes. So let's look at an example. Upon program completion, at least 80% of participants will be able to list 10 benefits of regular participation in aerobic exercise. So looking at this, we know who, it's going to be the participant. What are they going to be able to do? They're going to list 10 benefits of regular participation in exercise. So they have to know, right? They have to have that knowledge of what the benefits of aerobic exercise is, right? So that's that cognitive objective. Right. The next would be behavioral. And remember, we're still on those impact objectives. These are our short-term, summative objectives. So these behaviors or actions from the priority population will engage in, these are what they'll be doing, right? Their behavior or their actions that will resolve the health problem and move you closer to achieving that program goal. So what action or behavior will you change? You may be looking at adherence. So are they performing the exercises that they need to perform? Are they taking their medications, adhering to that? Consumption, improving their diet, compliance, taking medications as prescribed, coping, performing stress management techniques, preventative actions, flossing, brushing our teeth, those preventative items, self-care, performing first aid, utilization, so going to get health care, utilizing the ERs appropriately. So an example, by the end of the program, at least 60% of program participants will indicate that they complete at least 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity each week. So they are actually acting, they are doing the behavior of physical activity, right? And we're able to measure that by saying that 60% of the participants, right, that's the who, of the participants are actually completing this many minutes. Maybe they're logging it or tracking it in an app, and you're able to actually look at that data to say yes or no that they are actually meeting this goal, this objective, for their behavior or their action item. So let's look at that last objective for the impact objectives, which is effective. And I think this is maybe one of the harder ones for people to wrap their minds around. But effective is looking at changes in attitudes, beliefs, values. It's showing appreciation. It's showing cooperation, self-responsibility, self-modulation, self-esteem, and social skills, paying attention, seeing different sides to different issues, demonstrating interest, obeying rules, right? Compliance. This is really how the participants feel and how they believe and their attitudes towards the items. So let's look at the example. Upon program completion, at least 80% of participants demonstrate a commitment. Keywords here, that's what they're doing, right? That's that effective objective. Demonstrating a commitment to regular participation in a physical activity by registering for the Group Half Marathon online tracking program. So they are demonstrating the commitment to the tracking program, right? By the end of the program, at least 90% of participants will show value by sharing with the group one technique they used and will continue to use after the program is over. So remember, these have to be very specific. We have to know how the participants are going to show value, right? Or to demonstrate their commitment. But remember, these effective objectives are going to be attitudes, beliefs, those responsibility, self-esteem kind of feelings, and then our social skills as well. All right, I think this is a fun little activity. So what we're going to do is look at each of these objectives, and you are going to tell me if they are cognitive, affective, or behavioral. So 1 week after the program, 80% of the participants will be able to identify the 3 major components of a positive social media post. What do you guys think? By the end of the program, 75% of participants will show a reduction in alcohol consumption from baseline to post on the self-reported survey. The third one, 70% of participants will be able to demonstrate the use of iMessages during a collaborative activity in the last session. 85% of the participants will be able to explain the steps of decision-making on a post test by the end of the program. During the last session, 100% of the participants will be respectful while listening to others share their favorite aspects of the program during a roundtable on the last day of the program. 95% of the participants will show value of the stress management techniques used by sharing at least one technique they will continue to implement with the group in the last session. All right, so take some time and think through these, and let's go through them and figure out which ones they are, cognitive, affective, or behavioral. All right, so this first one, participants will be able to identify. This is going to be cognitive, right? They have to know the components of that social media post, so they learned those, right? This next one, the end of the program, participants will show a reduction. This is a behavior, right? They're reducing their consumption. This third one, they're going to be able to demonstrate the use of iMessages. They're demonstrating the use of this, so that's going to be behavioral as well. The next, participants will be able to explain the steps of the decision making by the end of the program. So this is a learned action item, so this is going to be cognitive. The next one, participants will be respectful. Remember, this is affective, so these are those attitudes, beliefs, and social skills. And then show value of the stress management techniques. That's going to also be affective. All right. And our last objectives, remember we talked about our process, our outcome, our process, our impact. We just talked about impact and the behavioral, cognitive, and affective. Now we're moving on to outcome objectives. These are going to be the ultimate achievement of the program. They're aimed at changing the health status, the risk factors, or the quality of life of the participants. If these objectives are achieved, the program goal will be achieved. So let's look at this. And these, remember, are also summative, so they're done at the end of the program, and these are more long-term. So our impact were more short-term, outcome is more long-term. So 5 years after the program has ended, there will be a 40% reduction in chlamydia cases within the high school students who received a sex ed program. All right. So let's look at these 3 quickly and tell me if it's a process, impact, or outcome objective. So 1 week after the end of the program, 85% of participants will list 5 benefits of using stress management techniques. So this, what do you think it is? It is going to be an impact. Remember, it's that short-term summative objective. And if you think about it, it's also cognitive because they're listing that information, right? 5 years after the program, 70% of the participants will lower their obesity rate by 2 or more numbers. That is going to be outcome. And then this last one, in the first session, the program administrator will provide each participant with a brochure and DVD. Remember, process is throughout the program, and that's more of what our resources, our staff, what they're actually doing in those administrative tasks. So we'll pick this up in our next video to finish out the module.